Hi, Dr. Williams.
Hi, Dr. May. We are in the Museum of Winning Hall looking at some fabulous Google images.
What are we looking at today?
First, we are looking at the bar at the Folies Bergère done by Edouard Manet in 1881.
So why is it one of your favorite works?
It is one of my favorite paintings of Manet's because of the thoughts and ideas that it provokes.
Was this one of his works that made it into the Salon?
It was printed and exhibited in the Paris Salon in 1882. This work of Manet's is widely known as his masterpiece, as well as also being his last major work. He had submitted many before, but they were rarely exhibited because they were not seen to be appropriate.
What is the setting of this painting?
The setting is a nightclub or a bar at the Folies Bergère in Paris, France. These nightclubs and bars were the place to be. They were all about having fun, living in the moment, and letting your hair down and having a great time. Kind of like the modern saying, YOLO! We have today, I guess you could say. It was the place to be during this time in Paris.
What types of ideas does this work provoke the viewer to think about?
This work evokes ideas of self-awareness in the mind of the viewer. The man in the mirror is in our space. We know this because his image is a reflection in the mirror, indicating that he must have been standing in front of the waitress and therefore would be occupying our space along with us. Because of the mirror, it seems as though we are the viewer in two places at once. It makes us feel as though the man is standing with us, but we know he isn't because he is in the painting. It forces us to think about how we are interacting with the painting. We interact with it by means of thinking about perspective and space, where we are in relationship to the painting and the subjects in the painting.
Where does where we are viewing the painting affect our relationship and understanding of the painting?
The center of the painting is the waitress at the bar. From where we are, her gaze is directed to us and reflected. Her interaction with the man is also reflected, but these two are two different feels. When we look at her face as she is looking directly at us, we may feel as though she has a blank stare and almost looking through us. But when you take a moment to look at her reflection in the mirror, her relationship with the man looks much more intimate, as she is leaning in towards him, almost if she is familiar with him.
Well then, what is the relationship between the waitress and the man in the mirror?
Well, we aren't exactly sure because her facial expressions don't give us too many clues. Along with the waitress, seduction and selling are also seen as the center of attention of this painting. Some interpret the relationship between the waitress and the man in the mirror as some sort of sexual tension. To understand the relationship, we must first, take a second look at the setting of which the painting is. Bars at this time were places of socializing, leisure, entertainment, and pleasure. Many women would use these places to promote their own businesses, if you know what I mean. The waitress may have been one of these women, and the man her potential client.
What is so interesting about the woman's stare?
The woman's stare is haunting because we are not sure exactly where she is staring. She could be staring at the man whose reflection is in the mirror. She could also be staring right past him into the sea of people. There is so much going on in the painting that we just can't be quite sure. She does seem, however, like she doesn't really care to be there. Maybe she doesn't enjoy the business she's in after all.
But who would? As we have touched on before, things are out of perspective in this painting. Why is that? Was it done because Manet didn't understand perspective?
Not by any means. He did it with a purpose. He wanted to evoke a higher level of thought in the minds of the viewer. He wanted us to think about his painting instead of just standing there staring at it. By taking things out of their correct perspective, he was achieving this. Some historians believe that Manet may have done it to force us to inquire about the relations between the space of the picture and the social space we find ourselves as viewers. He was intentional with his misrepresentation of perspective. He was rebelling against the Academy's ideals.
Now let's look at a somewhat different, but still very iconic and famous painting.
Let's!
Here we have a treasure of Johann Vermeer's entitled Girl with the Pearl Earring. Vermeer was a Dutch painter, mostly painting genre paintings in the Baroque period.
Now this looks a little different from most Baroque-era paintings.
That is quite right. The Baroque era in Holland was quite different from Baroque periods in other countries such as Italy because the church was such an influential factor. In Holland, the Protestant movement was sweeping across the country and Dutch artists really tried to push to new subject matter. Vermeer was a painter moving towards new content and away from religious content.
Oh, I see!
Yes, the Dutch genre painting movement was quite popular, often giving viewers cues to what everyday life was in Holland. Girl with the Pearl is an oil-on-canvas painting completed in 1667, and it is a portrait of a young woman.
I find this ironic that Vermeer entitled his painting Girl with the Pearl, because in fact Baroque means irregularly shaped pearl.
Right, we can imagine that Vermeer had a smile on his face when he named that painting. What is also ironic is that the girl in the portrait historians would call a trony, and a trony is the face study of a head to reveal an emotional state. Tronies in Vermeer's time were often made and sold to the open market for low prices and great numbers. What is ironic is about the fact that this Trony had a nickname of being the new Dutch Mona Lisa and is considered now a priceless masterpiece.
Wow, we can almost imagine that the Trony in this painting is smirking because she's got a secret that one day she's going to be loaded.
That would be a spot-on idea. Discussing the expression she has on her face is the reason this painting is so iconic. There is such an attention to detail, such a level of precision, and there are so many clues why her facial expressions are so communicative. Her face is warm yet still very distant. Her whole expression is a huge mystery that has inspired many books and novels that are somewhat relevant.
Now, I was wondering, who is the girl in the painting?
Many critics believe that she may have been Vermeer's daughter, Maria, who would have been around 12 or 13 years old in the painting. This is a model that Vermeer has used many times in his other paintings. In any case, this just adds to the mystery of the painting.
To be honest, I still can't get over the wonderfully striking lighting and style of the painting.
It is quite intoxicating, isn't it? Vermeer was known to be a master of light. He has cut this into a light and dark area, as if a spotlight is coming on the young woman. This makes the painting incredibly realistic and again photo-like. The shadows on the girl's face, the highlights on her nose, and the distinctions on her face are exquisite, especially when Vermeer uses the symbol of the pearl to exude wealth and innocence.
It is no wonder why this piece of work is considered a masterpiece of the Baroque period.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Although Edward Manet's The Bar at the Folies Bergère is in a different era than The Girl with the Pearl, I can see many parallels.
How so?
Well, first of all, both artists captured women in a very real moment, both lost in their thoughts, with facial expressions that you can imagine what is running through their minds.
Yes, also the fact that although Vermeer was a declared genre painter, it seems Manet was interested in capturing the very real aspects of everyday life also. We can connect with both women as looking through their eyes right into the souls of their life.
Also, out of rebellion for either religious reasons or out of annoyance for the Academy, both of these pieces were created.
Both paintings are iconic and famous, bringing us new ideas on perspective and technique.